Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Hello everybody and welcome to another recommendations video. And today we are doing one that was requested by a viewer named Kathryn, who asked for romance recommendations that take place on a ship. Now, I believe the recommendation was for they wanted, I don't know if it was only like vacation ones on a ship. I think it straight up was just romances taking place on a ship. And that's good that it was that, because I tried to find some that were all different kinds. And finding ones that were a vacation on a ship, there are a lot that exist, by the way. But I myself, I really haven't read any of those. I haven't. There's a ton. And I do have one that at least starts as a vacation. So we'll talk about that one. And I have one to talk about at the end that's on my TBR as one I want to read. But otherwise, the rest of these ones are probably, you might be expecting. There's a good amount of pirate ships. There's a couple kidnappings and a couple other ship. I have one that's an alien ship. I wanted to change it up. But I myself didn't have too many that were vacations on a ship or cruise ships or anything. But a lot do exist, by the way. So definitely there are other videos and lists that have been made for yachts and cruise ships. I just haven't really read any. To be honest, I'm not huge on vacation romances anyway. I know I've made like a few videos on those, but they were pretty hard to scrape together. I'm more of a like disaster came from a vacation type of person. And I mean, you're going to see that with one of the recs that I have, or recommendations that I have is about a wreck that happens. Just because I don't always love the like short, it happens on a vacation one anyway. So I have two of those, one that ends in a wreck and one that is like they start the story on a ship and then it ends up going somewhere else. So we'll get to that. But otherwise, yes, I will say most of these are pirates, but I figure you won't mind too much because pirates are great. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into some of these that are pirate romances or ones on a ship. So the first one is A Pirate of Her Own by Kindle McGregor. And this was actually one that I read for Rake Appreciation Society with Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life. And what's fun too is, so Kindle McGregor is actually the pen name of Sherilyn Kenyon, which was one of the reasons why I wanted to read one of her books. So anyway, okay. So this one is about Morgan Drake, who is the scourge of the ocean as the sea wolf, who is a fearless pirate who frees impressed American sailors on British vessels. So then there is a beautiful reporter who's willing to risk her life, her innocence, and her heart to reveal the secrets of Morgan, and is determined to reveal the secrets that Morgan is determined to protect at any cost. Very dramatic. She is headstrong, courageous, and gorgeous. And she is in a man's world. Serenity James knows she is barely tolerated in her father's newspaper. And she gets an exclusive story about the dreaded sea wolf. However, it will earn her the respect she so fervently desires, but she never expected to be kidnapped by the brigand whose bold exploits have fired her inspiration, or to discover the adventure she's always longed for in his caresses. So she ends up getting kidnapped and brought onto the ship. It was quite the ride. It had a lot of like funny parts to it, and I will say that the third act conflict at the end was a little bit frustrating for this one, but I love a pirate novel and I had a pretty good time with this one overall, let's just say. Okay, next up, we'll just share this one real quick. We all know this had to show up, so I'm just obliging. We have, of course, Sea of Ruin, and this was an opportunity to show off a beautiful copy that I got that has a ship on the back here. This copy is from let me double check. Let's see, this one has this here. I have so many copies of these that I'm not sure which one this one's from. Let me see. Oh, Books for Days crate is where this one's from. Of course, this is Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. And this one is about a female pirate captain, her pirate husband Priest, and the pirate hunter Ashley, who is coming after them. And she ends up getting captured, but her crew is safe. And Ashley, the pirate hunter, he is going to take her to England to hang. Unfortunately for him, she's a wily captive for sure, and she plans to lure him in with her wily ways. But he's determined to stand firm, and then things get complicated, and things get twisty and turny, and very sexy between all of them. So, it turns out that Ashley has a few... or has a history with her husband as well. So things are quite more complicated, quite a bit more complicated than we expected. Sorry, I can't talk today. So let's move along to the next one. All right, then we have a throwback one, okay? Now, this is not perfect by any means, but no author is. However, this is a pretty strong rating for how old it is. So this book is called Play Along by T.L. Swan, and it's not one that is very well known, I will say that. But this one actually involves like tanker ships, I believe. And I read this one when I was reading the entire backlist of T.L. Swan many years ago at this point, and I really liked it when I read it because it felt so unique in this case. So it involves like modern day pirates, which is kind of cool. So in this one, we have our heroine who catches her boyfriend cheating. And she stumbles out of a club where she sees her boyfriend cheating, only to witness, I think she witnesses a murder, but it's done by like drug dealers. And so she then gets kidnapped by said drug dealers and put onto a tanker ship. And on this tanker ship, her only hope is to kind of offer herself to one of the men there for safety. And in all honesty, it reminded me a little bit of like Hold kind of in that aspect. And it's funny that I like kind of forgot that. But that's kind of what we had to do. But yeah, she was kidnapped and she didn't have any choice. But also she needed to, use her body in some ways for safety as well. But they're on a ship there as well with a bunch of drug dealers, and there isn't really any place to run to. So you do what you got to do. Okay, we have another historical here, The Charm School. And this one is really cute. I'll read the back of this. I actually read this one for a historical romance readathon a few years back, and it was really fun. So this one is an awkward misfit in an accomplished Boston family. Isadora Peabody yearns to escape her social isolation and sneaks aboard the Silver Swan bound for Rio, leaving it all behind. Ryan Calhoun, too, had a good family name, but he purposely walked away from everything it afforded him. Driven by his quest to right an old wrong, the fiery, temperamental sea captain barely registers the meek young woman who comes aboard his ship. To the Swan's motley crew, the tides of attraction clearly flow between the two. Teaching her the charms of the lady, which is the ship, they hope to build the confidence she needs to attract not only their lonely captain's attention, but his heart as well. For everyone knows the greatest charms are not those of the formal lady, but rather the possibilities of a new world built on love. So the thing is that I believe in this one is that the Silver Swan, he is captaining the ship, but I think it's her family's ship. And so that's why she sneaks on this ship. She doesn't just sneak on a random boat. But the thing is, this boat has been doing kind of some secret trips that it shouldn't be doing. And so now that she's on there, she could kind of blow their operation. And so they're also trying to kind of win her over so that she won't tell her father on them of what they've been doing. So there's also that part that's going on as well. Ooh, my hips aren't liking the floor this morning. Okay. Then, like I said, I wanted to throw one in here that was also an alien ship. So I have a spaceship in here. And this one is Using Feiho, which is a part of the Clocanian series. This one is book 5. And yeah, these are the cool like retro covers that were done by, I think that Fake Crate did these. These were gifted by one of my patrons and friends, which is so cool. I haven't looked at these in a little bit, but look at the underside. Look at how pretty that is. That's so cool. I love you and I'm never letting you go. Look at the cool like spaceships and the arrows. So this one, I believe she is like pretending to be his mate. I can't quite remember. Let's read the blurb on this one. It's been a hot minute, but I know that she's traveling on his ship in this one. So she'll do anything to get home. He'll do anything to keep her with him forever. Vanessa doesn't have the luxury of building a happily ever after on a new planet like her fellow alien abduction survivors. She must get back to Earth. Her family needs her, and she can't afford to let them down again. So she'll find a way to break Clocanian law and get home, even if she has to marry and betray a sexy space pirate to do it. Oh, see, he's a pirate as well. There we go. Feiho can't believe his luck when Vanessa, a gorgeous human with a sharp tongue, chooses him as her husband, and he doesn't know what he did to win her favor. But he's determined to do everything in his power to make her happy. If only he could figure out why his alien bride is so reluctant to accept his kindness and pleasure he's so eager to offer. Vanessa's plan was simple until she started falling for her ridiculously charming husband. Now she has to figure out how to get home without breaking Feiho's heart or her own. Easy, right? Yeah, that's right. I think she's like using him for travel purposes. But you know, he's actually happy to have a mate. So, and I believe he's been like betrayed before too, or like he hasn't been picked. Because in this universe too, like the women get to pick the mate, and specifically with the human women, they get to pick the mate. And so she's picking him because he travels a lot, and she's hoping for the opportunity to get back to Earth. But he really wants a mate, and she just wants to get back to Earth. So they're kind of in a sticky situation. The two of them are anyway. So this is a really good one, though. I love Feiho. The audiobooks for this series are wonderful, read by, I believe, Stephen Dexter does these ones. And speaking of which, I have the most recent book on audio, and I still haven't got to it. Really need to do that. Okay, now one of the ones that it starts on a boat, but they're not on the boat for too long, but I still wanted to put it in there. So this one is Undeniably Infatuated by Jay Salmon. So this one is a part of the Boston's Irresistible Billionaire series. And this one, I believe, hold on, let me scroll to this one here. This one is Stone and Tinsley. And they had a little vacation fling 2 years ago. So this is his little brother's ex-girlfriend and childhood sweetheart. And she ends up where she's staying on the family boat. Like his little brother had said she could kind of hide away on the boat. The only thing is Stone wanted to use the boat for a trip. And so when he shows up there, he finds her like sleeping there. And he's like, no. I'm taking a vacation. I don't want to share. And she's like, please let me stay. And you know what? He's like, okay, fine. We'll stay in this tiny little boat and go on a little trip together. And they end up going on this like 10-day vacation together out of the public eye. And, you know, but they're in this very small, limited square footage. And it doesn't take long before they are, you know, fucking away on this little boat. But now, but then it skips ahead 2 years and they run into each other again. And they're still really kind of pining and wanting each other. And they never really made that spark go away. So, yeah, the fling that they have is on that boat. But then the rest of the story kind of takes place back in Boston. But I really liked it. And I thought that was a sweet way to kind of do it, where they're like kind of isolated together on this little boat. and it was really cute. Okay. Then we have a throwback one here. This is so crazy. I'd like forgot about this one being on a yacht, but it is. There is Lap of Luxury by Brianna Hale. And this one is, let me see the heroine's name. I forgot her name. Is Bethany. And Bethany gets kidnapped by Demir and is being held captive on a yacht. So this is what this one says. Captive, pet, lover, pawn. Darkness lives inside Demir Ravnikar, and that darkness craves one thing, me. Rich, ruthless, and handsome as sin, Demir's promised me the world to make up for my life's myriad disappointments. But his promises come with a price. Demir intends to use me to hunt down his double-crossing brother. With every jewel, every kiss, I can feel myself losing my morals, my freedom, and even my sanity, because darkness lives inside me too. He's laying my deepest secrets bare, and there's nothing I can do to stop him. My name is Bethany, and I've fallen into the lap of luxury. I believe in this one, if I'm correct. It's been a long time since I read this. But when this one came up as being on a yacht, I think I remember too, he turns like the whole yacht into a primal play scene where she can like pretend to escape and he like chases her down on the yacht. It's super hot. So yeah, this is one that has that too, on a boat. Okay, then there is Love Wrecked by Karina Halley. And this is another one. This is one where they start on vacation on a yacht and it ends up as like a shipwreck one. So this is a grumpy groomsman. So this one, I believe there's the four of them. It's like the bride and groom and then like the groomsman and like the bridesmaid or the maid of honor. And they go on a little like, it's supposed to be a week of sand, sea, and sun. And it's Daisy. And then it's a tall, dark, and handsome guy and Ty Wakefield. And they end up taking the boat for a quick little jaunt, and a storm blows in and blows them way off course. And then they end up getting shipwrecked on this tiny island near Fiji. And because there's so many islands, nobody can find them. And there's also this like oddball researcher there. And so they're lost. And it could be a couple weeks until someone rescues them. So this one ends up being kind of like a survival one too. But it starts out with them on a boat. And it's an enemy situation. But it's also that thing where they're mostly kind of like, they're not really enemies. They're just mostly annoyed about how attracted they are to each other is kind of one. But this is a really fun one. I remember reading this one a long time ago. I was, at one point, this is funny. At one point, there was two reasons I read this one. This one was a part of when I was trying to read all of Karina Halley's backlist. I kind of gave up on that. I am not hating on Karina Halley. She is a working author. She's worked her tail off. I appreciate her a lot. But she writes a few tropes that I just don't like. So I started getting worn out with her. And when she started writing her like Hades and Persephone books, I tried to get back into her again. I really liked those. And I wanted to, really enjoy those ones. And then the other reason I read this one is, I love doing recommendations for survival and for stranded and stuff like that. So that was another reason I read this one. And it was good. Okay. Then I had to have one more. Kidnapped by Pirate. Right here. Kidnapped by the Pirate by Kira Andrews. This is one of my favorites. Not only romance that is so sweet. This is just precious. I'm sorry. This is just adorable. It's fantastic. So this one is about Nathaniel Bainbridge. And he's, always had to hide his sexuality. This is a historical romance. So of course he's had to do that. But what's interesting, so this one's in 1710. But what's interesting is we have Hawk Harbor, or Hawk, who is a legendary villain of the New World. And I believe in this story, like, he actually had a partner who he was able to, like, be with and be a pirate with. And because he was the captain, he could just tell people to fuck off if they weren't okay with him being with his partner. But now he, is lonely and grumpy and all these things. But anyway, so Nathaniel is on the way. He's going to be forced into a respectable marriage for his family's financial gain, which again, not that unpopular. It's just a bit unfortunate because I think in this story, he was kind of into his tutor and he's going to be forced into marriage with a woman. And he ends up getting kidnapped for ransom by the Seahawk. And because he is very kind of beautiful and delicate, he's forced to, Hawk isn't a dummy, and he keeps him safe by having him stay in his cabin. So he never forces anything on him, though. But of course he is attracted to him because he is, I think he might even be bisexual. But because Nathaniel is gay and he has this hunky, hot, bisexual pirate staying in close quarters with him and, being there all the time, it doesn't take long before he's like, well, if I'm kidnapped by a pirate, why don't you teach me a few things? And also he learns that this reputation that the Seahawk has is largely invented. And he sees this really lonely man as well. And he discovers that he can actually be who he's always wanted to be with this pirate. And maybe he doesn't want to get rescued or ransomed like he maybe thought he did. So this is a staple. I need to read more Kira Andrews. There was a time where I read a lot of her. She writes, I think, almost exclusively romance, but she will jump around and write in all these different subgenres of romance. Like she's written a barbarian romance before I really liked. There's a duet that was like Wed to the Barbarian King. That was an romance I remember really liking. But yeah, this one's funny. It's like I grew up reading bodice rippers in the 80s, and this book is my loving homage to those deliciously tropey tales of pirates, virgins, and swashbuckling on the high seas. And she did an version of it. I mean, it's delightful. I mean, come on. It's fantastic. So, yeah, I love that. Now, the final one I wanted to mention is, like I said, one I haven't read yet, but it is a vacation romance that I kind of want to read, and it's by an author that I really like. So I just wanted to mention this one, and if any of you guys have read it, you can tell me about it. So this one is Love Overboard by Candy Steiner. And this one says that it is a standalone for fans of Below Deck and is an angsty, tumultuous relationship between two exes, surprised to find out they're working on the same yacht for the season and that their every interaction, innocent or not, is being filmed for a television show. And I think that sounds pretty cute, and I bet the audio is really fun. So yeah, I haven't got around to this one yet, but it just sounds so cute. So let me know if you've read this one, but it's on literally all of the lists. Like every single list where I was looking up romances on a ship, this one is on there right now. So I just wanted to put one on there that I think most people will see, but I haven't read it. So you guys let me know what you think of that one. But otherwise, like I said, I think I have another list with pirates. There's probably some overlap between these two, but I'll put that one up there. But let me know other romances that take place on a ship. If you've read some specifically that are vacation ones or on a yacht or a cruise ship, please put those down below because I believe that's what this request was for. I just don't have any of those. So I went with ships, pirate ships, spaceships, other kinds of ships. That's what I had. So, I try to accommodate the best that I can. So thank you so much for watching this, friends. Make sure you give this a thumbs up. Check out my other recommendation playlists. I'll have links to all of these books down below. There'll also be links for to buy, things like that. So check that out. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, friends.